welcome everyone once again to the Sleeping with Sonja podcast. We are reporting live from Sin City. And if you're wondering why we're in pajamas, well, why the hell not? If there's any place in the world we could get away with having a 20-minute conversation with our Uber driver in pajamas, it's here.
Also, there were no weird looks.
Facts.
For wandering around the streets of Vegas in pajamas.
To be fair, there's absolutely nobody who will ever question anything. So the guests that I have today are very, very special. Chrissy, Maria. I would love to give you a round of applause if there was an audience. Okay. I know they would as well.
We can do that.
Because such an important part of this show is not just discussing with experts and scientists and bringing in people who are at the upper crust of knowledge. Sometimes the more important part is just bringing in your girlfriends, the real ones.
WhatsApp chat group.
The WhatsApp group chat. So before we get into how we all know each other, I'm going to formally introduce each of you, and then we'll put the computer away. And if anybody knows me by now, they know, Chrissy knows, I don't go anywhere without my laptop. Yeah. So this is like an appendage, an extension of my body. So first we have Ms. Cristina Brodie, who hails from Waltham, Massachusetts. As the product of a Catholic school education and a formative summer in Sinaloa, Chrissy grew into the fun-loving, brilliant culture junkie that she is today. She worked as a trauma and cardiothoracic critical care nurse for nearly 20 years, and she devoted herself tirelessly to her patients, combining her clinical experience with her infectious personality. She was a friend to all, and still is, by the way, breaking the rough exterior from the orneriest of surgeons. Burnout, however, combined with a lack of institutional support. Anyone who knows about healthcare in the United States could have a thing or two to talk about that, but we'll save that for another episode, led to a change in her career path. Chrissy's amazing husband, Sasha, who's like a brother to me, begged her to take a professional sabbatical and rediscover a sense of balance. During a challenging period of time, Chrissy actually traveled to an ashram in India. She prayed and cleaned in an austere village. She danced until the sun came up in Mumbai with a bunch of amazing Punjabs that she met in the middle of the JW Marriott. Again, we'll save that story for later. And she reclaimed the piece of herself that had the desire to truly live and not just exist. So today, she and her husband are serial entrepreneurs. She balances home life, consulting, and traveling the world, thankfully with me, and today in Vegas. And our second guest today is none other than Maria Alice Florio. Maria comes to us all the way from Sao Paulo, Brazil. As an exchange student in Canada, Maria made the decision to document her journey with a YouTube channel. It wasn't long before her channel gained traction that she entered partnerships with major sponsors, continuing studies in marketing while managing life as a budding influencer. Today, Maria works in social media and enters a variety of travel and lifestyle brand campaigns through her media channels. Her dream is to travel the world, so far so good, as a content creator and to one day buy a dream home for her amazing parents. Now, you might be asking yourself, how the hell did we all come together? And that's why I have you guys here. One word and one word only, Mexico.
Yeah, that's true. So
Maria, what were you doing in Mexico?
So I was invited by Rad Rock to go to Riviera Maya as an ambassador from Brazil.
Okay.
So I was there alone because it was a time that Brazilians needed a visa to go to Mexico. And I was the only one that had.
Okay.
But I mean, by my boyfriend and mom and dad and friends. So I went alone.
Yeah.
And I was in the pool.
But you shouldn't have been alone either.
Yes, exactly.
There's another part to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to travel with you?
If they have visa.
No, you're a friend from Tampa, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. I forget about it.
She wasn't supposed to be alone.
Yeah.
So I
forgot about it.
Our Brazilian baby bird that we met. And Chris, you can talk about the number of times you've been to Mexico. Probably more than we can count at this point.
Yes, at this point.
And how we ended up on that trip accidentally.
So you were supposed to be in Guatemala on a mission trip. Seisha and I were going to pop over.
So the thing you have to know about me and Chrissy is we take let's take a quick pop over to Europe, to Spain, to Puerto Rico, to Mexico.
Yeah, Seisha and I aren't very good at planning our travels.
Right.
We sort of organically stumble
right
into our travels. So you got the call for Guatemala when we were in...
Which country? We're going to have to back it up.
No, not... Well, basically, it could have been another country.
Which country?
North Carolina.
Oh, that's right.
Essentially another country.
That's right. Yeah, a different planet for sure from New Jersey.
You got the call that you were selected to do this mission.
Right.
And as you're talking and telling me when I'm thrifting in North Carolina, I say, I think that will work with Seisha and I's schedule.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll come at the end of the trip and just check Guatemala out.
Right.
So that's our plan. But I also have learned that I am not going to make travel plans until the tickets don't even have to be bought because things still will change.
100%.
Basically, we make a very loose outline. I wish we had our outline from Barcelona, Barcelona 1, where it was literally just a piece of paper and some lines and some very loose plans. But we do that basically 2 days before we leave.
Exactly.
Because how often do our travel plans change?
Oh, all the
literally
time.
every trip.
All the time.
So anyway, I said, we're going to make that work. But I'm not going to plan anything until 2 days before, until you leave to do your mission.
Right. So
good thing.
So, many years ago when we worked as nurses at the bedside, we never had this flexibility. And now that we've sort of transitioned out, I give anesthesia and make my own schedule, and Chrissy's transitioned out of bedside care, we can make things happen that we couldn't do before. We weren't tied to that schedule. So
remember the days we would have to beg for 24 hours off?
We used to beg.
In a quarter?
Right.
Yeah, we would get our vacation given to us.
It was
quarterly.
Rough. It was rough.
Quarterly.
So I was selected to go on a mission trip to Guatemala, and the anniversary of my mom's passing is on September 13th. And I said every year, I want to go somewhere in the world in her honor. And I got so sick. It wasn't COVID. It was just a really bad, sinus terrible infection. So we were Mexico had never entered the conversation.
Nope.
But when I was too sick to fly and travel, Chrissy's husband said, you girls go away, spend the week in Riviera Maya.
I will not allow you to be home.
Exactly. You're not going to stay home. You feel better. You're on the mend. And Maria was supposed to have a friend there.
Yeah.
We were not even supposed to be there.
Right.
And somehow Maria spotted me from the pool.
Oh, no, that's funny. I mean, because I was there and I thought that there was more influencers around the world.
Oh,
there.
like you.
Yeah.
For the same reason. Okay, that makes sense now why you would have thought.
Yeah.
Oh, she's probably an influencer too.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now.
I was with our friends, and then I thought maybe she's another influencer from, I don't know, Mexico or whatever.
Right.
So I saw you taking some pictures.
With her ridiculously long arms taking selfies.
She was
I have an impressive selfie arm. I will claim that.
Yes.
I do agree with that.
So I came to you and said, "Are you an influencer?
Are you one of me?
Are you like me?
Yeah. Are you my soulmate here?"
So I was sitting at the pool, and I had stopped drinking a few months prior. I was never a really big drinker. And I just made the decision that after a lot of lifestyle changes and changes in my life, I said, I don't really know why I drink. And I stopped entirely over the summer.
Your last time was wandering the streets of San Juan.
It was old San Juan.
When we left Victoria.
Right. So that was the last time I accidentally got super day tipsy. But I was like, you know what? I don't actually need to. So I was drinking a huge jug of water, sitting at the pool. Props to Ricardo at Riviera Maya.
Yeah,
he killed it.
Hooked us up every day.
And Maria came and sat next to me. Meanwhile, Chris is in the pool doing jazzercise aqua aerobics with sexy Lexi, the instructor, Alex. So Maria comes over and finds a safe space with a fellow pseudo influencer that and she looked at me and she's like, you sure you're not an influencer? You're wearing a very small bikini. Are you sure you're not Brazilian? And I just started laughing. So when Chrissy
because
came,
at this time I didn't know that I was the only Brazilian.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So you thought you found your people.
Yeah. But I found it.
So of course, Chrissy finished one of her probably 2 or 3 activities for the water activities for the day.
Can't not have an activity planned on vacation.
And we hit it off, and we found out Maria's mom is a nurse.
Huh?
Yeah.
So Maria's mom was very happy that
100%.
while traveling alone to another country, she found nurses to manage her allergy list.
Oh yeah.
Maria, what are you not allergic to? What do we have in this room that you're not allergic to? You're probably okay. Yeah, the light is good. The water is fine.
I'm allergic to leather.
Oh,
Do you
guys,
know that?
No, you're not.
I am.
So we are.
You're a liar.
We didn't know.
I swear to God.
We didn't know leather was.
We didn't know
was
leather
going
was a
to-
problem.
No, but I mean, I'm wearing pants, so that's okay.
So you're safe.
The problem is like my skin touching it is not good.
Is that why you're sitting the way you're sitting?
So that you're.
That's wild.
So that you're not touching the leather.
That's
if we
wild.
start to notice hives, we'll make sure that we get
that's
whatever
okay.
it is
Did you
that
bring your EpiPen?
whatever
Do you
you
have
need.
another couch?
Again, listen, I tell people all the time, travel with a nurse. You're in the best possible hands.
Yeah, I mean that's funny because I was having like healthy problems there. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember
Yeah.
that? So it was funny. But I want to know something.
Sure.
What do you guys thought about me?
So it's
You were thinking a lot.
So I definitely saw you before you started talking to Sonja because you were
Right.
sitting at the bar by yourself. And I mean,
you
like,
can't not notice
can't
you.
not
You're beautiful.
notice you.
Aw.
Yes. And I thought
And you're also very exotic. You're not
Yeah.
like all the and
you weren't the rest of the people at the pool.
so here's the thing. The Hard Rock in Riviera Maya is not a low-end resort.
No.
yeah.
Most of the people there
And we were in the members section.
in the members area.
It's not cheap to
Most
be
of
a
those
member.
people were a little bit older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were definitely early bird dinner. They were definitely out at the pool.
Wearing a sensible visor.
I, as the early bird, had to secure our spot daily.
That was her job. That's always her role when we vacation.
Yes, because I have to be awake early because in my heart I'm an 85-year-old woman. So I was out there with the early bird crew setting down towels.
And you know what? I love that for me.
Right. So this is not the kind of resort where a Maria from Brazil walks in her, hot colored bathing suit. It's just not that type of place. It's not, like Cancun. So we obviously noticed.
But full disclosure, I saw you with all your curves and your tattoos, and I was like, how'd she end up here?
Right.
Little did we know.
Right.
You have so much depth.
For sure. And I
Definitely judge the book by its cover.
Definitely.
And then you opened your mouth and started talking. And I was like, oh, wow, I was wrong.
So some of the conversations from the day we met you and adopted you as our Brazilian baby bird child for the rest of the time, just getting a sense of, and this is one of the questions that I have for you that I think it's super important to share with everyone. Life in Brazil is quite stigmatized in the United States. There's a sense that it's all favelas, it's all crime, it's all, Brazilian butt lifts and nothing else. That's the American mindset. Granted, the American mindset can be narrow-minded with many things.
Yeah.
But you opened us up so much to what your experience is and what you loved about it. So if you can tell us just a little bit about your exchange program and when you left Brazil and sort of experienced your eye-opening to leaving that world.
Okay. So my first exchange wasn't when I was 14. I went to UCLA by myself in Los Angeles, and I had like a whole month there. Well, it was my first experience, so I was really happy, like a new country for my first time.
Was that your first out of Brazil?
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't realize a lot of things, like cultural things and this kind of stuff. When I came back to do a college, I got a scholarship because I did my high school at Canada. So I got a scholarship to study at HBU in Hawaii.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, but in the middle of that, I started to travel a lot here. I did like some a smaller exchange to New York, and I started to realize how people like here are different than Brazil. Like in Brazil, we are really warm.
Yeah.
We love gringos.
Oh,
So-
we love you too.
We love like people from other countries come to us. We really like to help people. I mean, Brazil, it is dangerous. It's dangerous. You need to be careful there. But it's also the most beautiful country that I've ever been to. So I told you guys, I would never leave Brazil for nothing. I mean, I really like to travel.
Yeah.
But I think the big difference that I saw and I always see and I realized that is the difference between, I mean, Brazilians cannot say no.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we always want to be really cool and really warm and really unhelpful.
So it's almost like boundaries are not acceptable in your society.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's a really interesting difference, especially compared to if you go to like New York.
Yes. And you spent a lot of time in New York.
Yes. I remember when I was in HPU or I studied in New York too, the only thing that I wanted to do was a hug. I wanted a hug.
Aww,
and I was
were
like,
you feeling deprived of skin-to-skin
yeah,
contact?
I mean,
Aw.
because in Brazil we have a lot of skin contact,
of course.
all the time.
Of course.
Like hugging, and I mean we are really warm.
Right.
So I was missing that. Because of that, I left HPU.
Yeah.
I was like having a depression.
Yeah.
Because people are like
You didn't feel at home.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I did have friends, but they aren't like the same as
Right.
in Brazil.
Right.
So yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because I think of Hawaiians as being very,
Yeah.
Very
Very
warm.
warm and friendly
But
people.
yeah.
not
Right.
compared
So-
to Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest problems is I think now in the last few years, people have become more adventurous in terms of traveling to South America. But
Yeah.
like I think that there's so little information about life in Brazil out there that I think your average American probably doesn't even realize like you speak Portuguese.
right. You're not as,
You
yes.
don't speak Spanish.
Right.
And I bet they're right.
You say Brazil, you think Carnival,
Uh-huh.
parties.
And they
Right.
think that I
Debauchery.
speak Brazilian.
Right.
When
Which is
it's
not
not-
right. Which is not even a
Spanish.
language. Right.
Yeah, right.
So there's,
yeah.
I mean, for you, there's probably so much in the way of like, you're probably educating people every day.
Yeah,
just
I
that
remember
baseline.
when I was in HPU, a guy like it was a teacher. He asked me if we had cars in Brazil. I was like, no, we walk like,
horse and-
in a
horse and buggy.
monkey.
Right.
You know, like,
Right. We
what
live in the
heck?
Stone Age in Brazil. Yeah. And you know, that's such an
And this
important
is
part
really
of why
sad.
when you travel and when you get to exist outside of your bubble, it
Yeah.
opens you up to these experiences where, I mean, Chrissy and I could tell you, you are one of the many humans we have plucked from the universe who we've met in a way that was just such a, you know, we shouldn't have been there.
Right.
Yes,
We should have never been there. And yet we found you and we met you and we know that you'll be a part of our life forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you very quickly and very openly said, you guys have to come visit me. My mom is so excited to meet you.
Yeah.
They can
My
come
mom
see us.
also stalked our social media.
Absolutely.
She's like, which one has the Indian husband?
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely. And your mom, who herself is a nurse, who's, you know, thrilled about it. It's just, you already got the sense that you are such a warm and welcoming person.
Mm-hmm.
And when you exist inside of your bubble, you don't get to see the beauty that's out there. And you don't know what kind of connections you're going to make.
And I told you, if I went to Riviera Maya with my boyfriend or with my girlfriend or even with my parents, I would never talk to you guys,
right.
you know.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
Because
So it's a good thing they were randomly COVID testing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so everything happens for a
It
reason.
does. I
yeah.
1000% believe that there was a lot of alignment in that moment and in that meeting. And, you know, even just sitting here having this conversation, it's like you don't realize the impact that you make just by what you do every day, just by talking about things like, guys, yes, the world is scary. There's no denying that. But the world also has a lot of really amazing humans in it.
Yeah.
And when you open your mind and say, I am fascinated by culture. I do want to know more about you. I don't speak Portuguese, but I want to learn. And in fact, thanks to you, Maria, I am
Yeah.
learning. Eu falo un pouco de português. Props to my
Pretty good.
tutor. Thank you. It opens you up to this sort of what comes next. The world
Yeah.
becomes less scary when you humanize the things that you see and do. And even just you traveling alone to Mexico how old are you, Maria? You're
25.
25. You
Yeah.
were 24. It was just before your birthday when I met you.
Yes.
To be 24 and traveling from Brazil alone anywhere in general, to me, I don't know if I had the courage to. I've started traveling alone recently. I don't know that I would have had the courage.
How many of your solo trips did I crash?
Oh, very many. Very many. They started off as a solo trip, but thank God Chrissy was like, you know what? So
I happen to be free.
Chrissy is the human embodiment of FOMO.
YOLO FOMO.
Chrissy.
YOLO FOMO.
Chrissy says no to nothing. She wants to be, do, and see it all. So anytime she could be there, she would. But having the courage to travel alone, as a woman especially, I think, it's a very difficult thing. It's not something, Chris, I don't know. Well,
I mean, I've been there, done that.
Chris, you're a different animal too. Sinaloa, when you're 15 years old.
I was 15 years old, yes. Mom and Dad put me on the plane, said, see you at the end of summer.
I mean, that's some American parent shit. I'll tell you that right now, because my Macedonian immigrant parents, hey, guys, I lost a shoe. Hold on. Hold, please. My Macedonian immigrant parents would have never
And I didn't realize what a big deal it was to actually do that. Let's rewind. I didn't appreciate what an amazing experience and opportunity that was at the time, obviously, but I also didn't realize what Sinaloa, Mexico, in the mid 90s, was until Narcos Mexico came out.
Right, exactly.
And then I said to my parents, do you realize what you...
Hey, Bill, hey, Cheryl, do you know what was popping off in Mexico?
Mexico, 95?
Oh, that's absolutely incredible.
But
that is absolutely incredible.
Because of that experience, I now say no to very little.
I know. And not only that.
I'm not reckless. I just take very calculated risks.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, I would disagree. I think that there's a reckless might be a strong word, but there's definitely a word between calculated and reckless that exists, and there's your name on it.
I got Krishna on my side.
She
too.
does.
I got Jesus and Krishna. Okay.
She's got the club. She's got the crew.
That's really funny because when I went to UCLA when I was 14, my dad just left me alone at the airplane.
I mean, basically, Maria had the same experience.
So Maria had the same.
And you know what? The internet existed then.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
No, I mean, I remember that I needed to talk with them by email. Like
to communicate with your parents.
Yeah. So nowadays I was like, Dad, how do you do that?
Yeah, like what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was alone. I was 14 years old. Like I would never do that.
So it's funny. My mom passed 2.5 years ago, and she's wildly progressive in terms of, me and my sister are both the first in our families to have doctorates. She always said, you need to educate yourself so that you don't have to rely on somebody else in your life and always have a way to take care of yourself. My dad was a very adventurous person, but my mom was wildly overprotective and in a loving way. I always tell Chrissy, I had a mom who loved me too much. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until her passing that there's a number of things that happened. First of all, Chrissy thrived during the pandemic. COVID happened and she started to travel the world. And it was like this.
My biggest regret is that we didn't travel more.
You didn't do it sooner, right? It was this resurgence of let's do this now.
Because you never know.
You don't know. And for any of us who were in healthcare during the pandemic, I think a lot of us are still experiencing this sense of we forgot how bad it was.
Isn't that funny how that happens?
It was very.
It's like a childbirth situation.
And like I've never birthed a baby, but I survived healthcare in a pandemic, and there's something about how quickly we forget. So I forgot COVID, but when my mom passed, that was when I said, "Okay, we really aren't here for that long. I need to get my shit together. I'm not going to be working 40 hours a week." Every single day and killing myself for the rest of my life. I want to do and see and explore everything.
It considers me to be a number.
Sure.
And a problem.
Sure.
When I don't fulfill my obligation because I'm sick.
Sure.
Or I'm.
Sure.
We can't even talk about mental health days.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be another conversation for another episode. But, at the end of the day, I never would have lived this experience. Like knowing that one day we will for sure visit Maria in Brazil.
It's not if, it's when.
It's when. It's when. And my mom was the type who, Chrissy and I went to Colombia for almost a month last January. If I told my mom I was traveling to Colombia, she would have literally been like, I will stand in front of that airplane out of fear, of the unknown. And she's very welcoming, but she's very fearful of the but what if. And then when she passed, there was this sense of now she's always on my side. And now she's the one who's calling the shots. And now she's the one who's pulling the strings and she's making it happen. So I always tell people, because they ask, there's a lot of ridiculous shit that happens in our life that I just can't explain. And they always say, how did that happen? And I always say, my mom did it. And I say the same about our meeting with Maria. I say the same about the places that we've gone, the friendships we've made, whether we're, you know, in a weekend in Miami or going out of the country.
But like, whatever. Why were we in Colombia in the first place?
Exactly.
Because of other friends we made when we were traveling.
Because of friends we made on our travels, right?
I'm jealous.
You're part of it now.
Oh yeah,
baby
you're
girl.
in the posse.
You're in the crew. You're in the WhatsApp chat. You know, this is technically speaking, we've done 2 trips together already. If you look at it this way,
this is our 3rd time together. I mean, counting meeting, our 3rd time together since September.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
Wild.
And it feels like we've known you for our entire lives.
Yes.
And to me, there's nothing better than knowing that, like, this is why you do these things. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, life is so short and we just deal with such nonsense. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what phase of life you're in.
And it's really cool how our connections works, because I was thinking, I will say that, I don't care. I was thinking today, when I woke up, like yesterday, I asked Sonja about my poop. Like, what about this intimate that we have? Like,
she asked me about the consistency of her poop. Hold on. What's the word in Portuguese?
Coco.
Or coco.
Coco.
And what is pee?
Shishi.
So first of all, Coco and Shishi is the cutest name for pee and poop I've ever heard in my life.
I'm going to add those to a list for 100%.
Yes. Yeah, so Maria felt confident enough to ask about the consistency.
I would never do that with my friends in Brazil, you know?
But with
you have nurse moms.
You have nurse moms.
You have nurse
moms.
Poor thing.
It makes me happy to hear that you're so comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But that's also a part of it. You develop this sense of like, we're all just human.
Yeah.
And you can't, the more you sit and sort of put people on a pedestal, you lose that sense of connection.
Yeah.
We all have such common threads. You come from a completely different world than we do. Even Chrissy and I come from different backgrounds, but we've come together through the important things that matter. And, you know, I think a lot about when we were sitting in the pool in Mexico and you were telling us just about socioeconomic situations in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
And the complexities of healthcare and education and just so many things that we would have never had firsthand accounts of if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, to sit here with you guys and just be able to say, like, we're going to shoot the shit and we're going to talk about these things and these experiences. We haven't even gotten into the other like extent of stories that happen, but to know that people like you exist and like you exist and that you can go anywhere in the world and you can say, I'll figure it out. I'll make a friend. I'll find a person. There will always be a connection for me. It's a really scary and stressful time, politically, socially, globally. There's a lot going on. So when you feel like you can phone a friend when you go anywhere and do anything, it's very powerful. It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think we talk like almost every day.
We do.
Yeah, pretty much.
We do.
Sometimes I disappeared, but yeah.
So, okay.
And we worry.
So we do, yeah. So
we still try.
Maria disappeared for a few days. She was feeling unwell. So we got her mom's number.
Yeah.
Her mom doesn't know English, but I spoke my broken Portuguese and we figured it out.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. When you inherit nurse mom friends, we will stop at nothing to ensure your safety. And yeah, we'll look at your poop. Anything you need. Anything you need.
You were sleeping.
You were asleep. She came out.
Am I dying?
She goes, Sonja, I'm dying.
I'm sorry I missed this, but I slept really well in Vegas.
I mean,
I'm seeing that.
Like, I've slept so well, guys.
Again,
and I've taken nothing. No melatonin, no sleep aids, nothing.
I have had the most terrible sleep of my life in Vegas. I'm so structured in my sleep hygiene, but I'm thrilled for you, Chris, with your insomnia.
I mean, I think I was asleep before midnight last night.
again, you are the human embodiment of, I'll call you the Energizer Bunny because I can't call you human cocaine, even though I just did. I don't know. I know the clinical physiologic impact thanks to my patients. But you are human cocaine.
You know what I'm thinking? It's kind of like, you know how when we're flying and it's turbulent and then I knock out? I'm kind of thinking being in this like chaotic.
So, Chrissy finds comfort in turbulence on an airplane.
Yeah, I love a turbulent
She sleeps
ride.
best when the plane is shaking.
It's like a rocking, it's like a
How's
rocking
that?
chair.
She also falls
good.
asleep best during murder documentaries.
Absolutely.
So again,
I mean, me too,
Right.
but
Actually, that's something we have in common.
so I'm actually outnumbered in this situation.
But I think the chaos of everything that's happening outside is like,
Yeah. Do you
like very soothing to me.
do you find peace in the chaos of Sin City?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Uh-huh.
no,
I think that's what's happening,
That's
guys.
the psycho thing.
Listen,
Sorry.
she's been sleeping like a baby. And so I wake up in the morning. I've been awake. I am a chronic early bird. I'm always the first one awake.
Again, love that for me because it means
Exactly.
coffee is delivered when I get up.
Exactly.
Oh, that's true.
Exactly. She's thriving. But I've been awake every day at like 4:30 in the morning. And I told
Which is
them,
really 7 a.m. our
it's
time.
7 a.m. our time. But I go and take a shower and I can't meditate and I can't do my normal, woo-woo that I like to do. So I have my little morning board meeting with everyone I'm talking to in my head and my mom and whoever in the shower. And I just have these moments of inspiration in the shower in Vegas on 3 hours of sleep. But then I'm like,
Maybe you're thriving here too.
I might be. Actually, it turns out I might be. Is this our next step?
Is this our new spot?
Is this our new side home? We need a place in Brazil and another one in Vegas. But it's also very funny because we haven't been like, there's such a sense in Vegas that you're going to go partying and clubbing and doing all this
Yeah.
I
stuff.
mean, we definitely had that plan last night and then
We haven't been doing the typical,
no.
and yet it's
Yeah.
been a blast. Well, a little bit. We went,
Yeah.
we went to a male review for science.
I mean, that was for science.
That was for,
It was an anatomy lesson.
that was for science.
Oh yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah, and Maria
Yeah,
had
a really
never
good one.
Maria had never been to a male review before, at
Yeah.
least not in the United States. So we couldn't.
No, in my
Have
whole
you gone to
life.
Brazil?
Of course, we don't have that.
Oh, that's right.
Why don't you have strip clubs
you
or
have
male
streets?
reviews?
Yeah.
Happening in the streets?
Is that
No,
why? Because
it
just
doesn't
happened.
happen
It
at
just
all.
doesn't happen?
Yeah.
So yes, we made
Only
sure.
in Carnival.
Oh, in Carnival,
That's
right?
why they don't need it.
Right.
They just save it all up for one
right.
time of year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Maria once told us that the prisoners in Brazil,
Oh yeah. That's
Explain.
True.
You need to explain this.
just so we have some context for the difference between culture in the U.S. and Brazil, the prisoners get released on holidays.
They get like amnesty days.
Oh yeah. They do.
So on let's say Mother's Day.
Right? It's like Mother's Day, Father's Day.
They go. Yeah. They go
Christmas?
out. Yes.
So
Independence Day.
you really can't
We
have,
don't have that. Oh yeah. Of course we do. I'm sorry.
When you kicked your captors out.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
So, and what percentage of the prisoners just are like, fuck it, we're out. We're not
I'm
coming
never
back.
going back.
They always do that. They always do that. And the problem is like, I mean, I think the main problem is like we have maybe an explanation. We have like a woman that murdered her parents,
Ooh.
I'm sorry. And then she went out in Mother's Day. So
Okay.
what
On
the fuck?
on her day out, on her get out of jail free card day.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
the murder happened on Mother's Day, or she was in prison for murder.
Yeah, she was in prison for murder.
Okay.
She was allowed out on
On
Mother's Day.
Day.
And did she just not come back?
No, she came back, but I mean, it was a Mother's Day, and she murdered
Oh,
mom.
that's wild.
her mother.
That's not great.
That's wild.
So I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Listen, I'm open to culture, but maybe letting the prisoners
but
out.
they
on
are trying to change that.
Okay, that's good.
Since 10 years
I-
ago.
Yeah.
I approve
But-
that.
Yeah. Somehow I think this conversation circled back to the fact that there are no strip clubs or strippers in Brazil the way that there are
But-
here. Right.
But we have prisoner amnesty days.
Right, exactly. It's balance.
Balance. Yep.
It's all a balance.
Yin and yang here.
So yeah, that was probably the most traditionally Vegas thing that we've done since being here.
The magic show.
The magic show was
Was
phenomenal.
really good.
And I'm so glad that you asked. Like, why magic show? Because
Yeah.
that was fantastic.
We've had some really
What?
phenomenal meals, including, Panda Express for lunch this afternoon. We've hit the
Oh,
gamut.
I can't believe that you guys went there I wasn't there.
I'm sorry. We can do it
Oh,
again.
sorry.
Okay. We know.
Oh no,
Maria
yeah.
had her first In-N-Out burger since being here.
You too.
Yeah.
Me too. I've never
And
had it
I
before.
made them both go to Raising Cane's.
Never done that as well. But
But-
see, this trip has been a lot of debauchery in a very different way, because we're not doing like sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
But we
We're
are
doing
still
fried chicken,
we're
mail review, and
Chihuahuas show maybe. No.
but like we
Yeah,
make the
we
best
cannot do
friends
that.
wherever we go. Like we went to Krispy Kreme
Yes.
for a donut after Thunder from Down Under, and he was like, "You know what? I like you guys so much. I'm going to give you a hat."
and also don't buy the water because it's $8.66.
Right?
Thank
Exactly,
you, sir. Thank you.
Exactly. The people actually sincerely have been incredibly friendly here.
Yeah.
Oh, the service industry is so polite.
Yes.
So polite.
So, Maria, what is the perspective about Las Vegas in Brazil? What do Brazilians think about Las Vegas?
Craziest thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Like so much drugs going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of parties
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Only that. Only that.
Only that.
Yeah.
Only that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably like the movie The Hangover.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really famous in Brazil,
Right.
so they think it's like I didn't play in casino yet. So
So hold on.
Wait, there's still tonight.
There's still time. There is
Yes.
still time. To be fair, none of us actually know how to play.
no.
but you did.
But I did.
You did. You tried.
I
and
did.
You went to a 25 minimum table. Like,
yeah. I mean, I
good for
figured if I
you.
was going to ball out, I was going to ball out.
I'm $20 in a penny slot machine minimum bet. Let's see how long that goes.
To be fair, I had a $100 bill. I lost 75 of it in about 3 minutes. I took the other
Maybe less,
$25
maybe
chip.
less.
Maybe less. Might have been 90 seconds. She was just killing the whole table. So I have a $25 chip left that we can play with this evening.
okay.
And
We tried to find bingo.
Yeah.
See, I would have played bingo.
I've
but-
never in my life played bingo.
What
so fun.
the heck?
You guys, the judgment on your face, Maria, that I've never played bingo is very unsettling. But no, I've never played bingo.
It's really nice.
So should we go? Are we going out? Are
No,
we doing our
no,
last
I
night in
asked.
Vegas?
You have to go far. Like, I don't know, Red Rock. I don't even know where Red Rock is, or Red Canyon. I don't
stay
know.
in your pajamas after this recording. We're going to take an Uber to Red Rock for the bingo hall. And that's how we're going to call it for this whirlwind of a weekend in Vegas. That's going to be how we just finish the whole
We
situation.
might win every penny back.
Could you
on bingo.
imagine? Could you imagine?
if
So
you win, can I have 1% of it?
you can have, you know what?
Why just one?
You can have more than 1%.
No, I'm very fun.
Ask for more.
1%.
50%?
So in America, we would definitely ask for more than 1%. We would start
Sorry.
high.
Yeah.
We would start high. So you get whatever you want, princess.
98%.
98%. We'll
Okay.
negotiate from there. You know, the one thing about Vegas, and at the time of this airing, it may not be accurate, but yesterday was my birthday.
Yes.
And typically I am wildly introverted and introspective around my birthday. It's not that I don't like my birthday. It's that I become very wrapped up in my own growth and my own process. And in the
Pensive.
yes, Chrissy celebrates her birthday 12 months out of the year. She's a Leo.
That's an exaggeration.
She's very much a Leo.
That's an absolute exaggeration.
Yes.
It's a rolling quarter.
It's a rolling quarter.
Okay.
But then the caveat is she celebrates her half
I
birthday
will
as well.
also
which gives
acknowledge
you
my half birthday.
facts.
What
month.
do you like to do in your birthday?
She's always
Go-
somewhere.
Go anywhere.
She's always somewhere.
See, I blame having a summer birthday for my
Yeah.
obsession with celebrating my birthday as an adult, because you just got lumped in with the masses when you have a summer birthday.
Yeah.
There's no day where you get to go to school and you're special.
Yeah.
You're just one of
Yeah.
the group.
It seems like you have a lot of birthday trauma, Chris,
lot of
that
birthday-
you're making up for.
My
You're
grandparents
making
were
up
always
for.
traveling when
Yep.
in the summer when I
Yep.
was, so it was a phone call, but no, like, oh, it's your special day.
Right.
Or if I got my special day, it was after the fact.
Right.
So now I make up for all of those years.
She does.
Those,
She does.
with the quarter, and Seisha just knows it's part of the deal.
Right.
And then now if I'm going to do the birthday quarter, I might as well do the half birthday.
Right.
Which is 6 months, obviously 6 months later, but it's in the winter when it's cold.
So
and-
basically the majority of the year you're celebrating your birthday is what you're telling us.
I mean, roughly.
you know, so I don't want this to come out. I don't want this to be misinterpreted because this is the Sleeping with Sonja podcast, but I would rather give than receive. And I am a very good giver.
She is. She's very generous.
I much prefer to give gifts, to give experiences, to give compliments than to receive any of it.
Oh, yeah?
My whole life. I'm very bad at receiving gifts. I feel uncomfortable and I don't know why. I just always feel like I can do it for myself. I don't need you to do it for me. So even just celebrating the last few years, this is new for me.
I'd like to think I have something to do with
You
that.
1000% do. You 1000% do. Because number one, if I go away, you go away. But number two, you have this sense of excitement about it that is infectious. And somebody like myself who wants to just sit there and become a walking existential crisis in a crop top, which is basically who I am as a person, needs something like that. So, yesterday morning, I took my laptop down. I woke up once again at like the crack of dawn, took my laptop down and went to a casino coffee shop in the morning. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have my existential moment here in the casino coffee shop as I'm observing the crowd in Vegas. Right. I mean, if when in Rome.
Right.
And I just wrote for a while. And for me, logically speaking, Vegas is not really my thing. I don't drink. I love to be asleep by 8:00 at night. It's just hyper stimulation all the time.
You haven't gone to India yet.
Right. That's on the list. That's coming. But what I've learned too is you just have to be open to the experience when it comes.
Yes.
And you have to embrace it and you have to make the best out of it. So instead of being negative and complaining and doing whatever, it's like, okay, we're here. Let's make the best of this. And part of what I wrote about was the thing about Vegas that people should know, it is a level playing field. You have people from every walk of life here in every capacity, and you can just sit there and make friends and meet somebody. It truly is like a microcosm of the world. And there are people from every kind of situation and every type of experience where it's a judgment-free zone. And there's something that's wildly refreshing about that. Whether you feel repressed or liberated or not, listen, I don't care if you're good, if you're bad, if you're in between. If you're here, nobody cares. And I think that's a really amazing way to sort of experience life.
Yeah.
So to be fair, you still don't need more than 72 hours here. I think that's...
We really pushed it.
Yeah, we're really pushing it. We sort of doubled our... We doubled the extent of it. But it has been a really eye-opening birthday for me because this is something that in the past I would have said, I'm just going to sit in my room. I'm going to write. I'm going to cry because it feels good to do so for no reason in particular. And I'm going to really just try to get through the day. And yet the number of messages I received and the number of phone calls I received and just being with you guys and having the best day, it was gorgeous out. The sun was shining. The people were friendly. It really is just a great reminder of like the gratitude that you have in being able to just sit here and shoot the shit with my girlfriends in our pajamas. You know what I mean? This is just as important as the big fancy stuff. So on that note, thank you guys for being here with me today, for spending this one of what is, I know, many things to come and experiences to come. Any last things? No. Any last things you guys want to share? Where can we follow you? Actually, I'll make sure to put in the show notes. We're going to have information for where we can find you guys. So social media, whatever channels you guys want, we'll be able to have in the show notes so that our friends can find you. Our listeners can find you. I have to start doing like work. I know. Chrissy.
I'm like a big resharer.
Chrissy's the honorary influencer. Maria's like the real deal. Me, I'm lazy.
You post more than me.
It's hard. It's the, I know that as an author, I need to put it out there, but I like to
just pop up and surprise.
She does. And Chrissy kind of surprises us. So I'll make sure that in the show notes, we have the information for where to contact you guys. And if you have anything that's coming up that you want to share with our listeners about any of your projects or anything happening, you can let us know here, or you can wait and we can make sure to post it with the show notes as well.
I just wanted to be thankful of you guys. Because I mean, it's really, it's weird to think that we have like a huge connection. We have a huge difference of age.
Sure.
So I would never imagine that I would have like such a good friend that I have you too. And I don't have it in Brazil. And I told you guys like the problems that we have with that. Yeah. So I'm so thankful and I love you guys.
We love you too.
I'm going to say, one thing you said yesterday that I keep thinking about is when we were walking and you said how refreshing you found it that we compliment other girls. Like that's so nice to hear.
It is.
Right?
It is. And especially coming from a background in nursing where
mean girls,
the toxic culture of nursing is something that, I've spoken ad nauseum about.
I think you wrote a book about it, actually.
I think I wrote a book or maybe two about it, actually. I think I left the bedside in large part because of it, but I have no tolerance for that. I have no tolerance for that. Yeah. And yeah, Maria, for you to point out the fact that it was, I complimented a woman's outfit and you're like, it's just really nice to see openly complimenting and sincerely being open to other people for no other reason than because you sincerely like it.
Yeah.
You're not having anything to gain from it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really nice when I walk on the streets here in US and people say, "Oh, I love your hair. I love your tattoos.
Right.
I love everything." We don't have that in Brazil.
Yeah.
In Brazil, it's like, oh,
yeah.
like,
well, Brazil's sort of first of all, everyone in Brazil is beautiful. Even the worst looking people in Brazil are the most beautiful people on the planet. There's no like contest with that. That I'm pretty sure like you guys win the award.
Yeah, lockdown.
But with that, there's probably a lot of that jealousy. And that toxicity that comes
there
from
is.
it.
For sure.
Well, I'm just thankful that there's a space where hopefully people can feel empowered, whether you're a woman, whether whoever you are, wherever you are, that you can feel supported. And again, knowing that mindset exists is super important. So I love you guys.
I love you.
Thank you for
Love
being
you.
here with me. And like I said, we'll make sure to share your information so that people can follow along your journeys. Chris, you're going to have to start reposting, girlfriend.
Gosh.
I know.
Such a journey.
I know. We're going to be on speed dial with Maria. She's going to send us 47-minute voice notes. By the way, my favorite thing about all of our friends from South America, the voice notes are
Yes.
a podcast itself.
And a GIF.
It is the gifts that you use.
They have a super
The stickers
secret
one?
The
list
stickers
of gifts that we don't have access to.
and the
it's-
WhatsApp podcast voice note. I'm filled with joy
Live
every
for
time I
it.
see
And this
recording.
This new video option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Game changer.
It's amazing.
Game changer. So thank you guys again. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. See you when we see you.